Welcome to Shelaborate. I'm Kath.
And I'm Kyra. This is our podcast for the girls, from the girls.
We're telling our stories, hyping up women who inspire us, and shelaborating every step of the way.
It's time to give you the girl talk you've been waiting for. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome back, Shelaborators.
Hello.
We've got a really exciting episode that we're excited to share with you guys today because we have the one and only Malia with us today.
AKA Poppy, and this is episode 11 of Shelaborate. Season 1.
We made it. 11 episodes was actually our goal when we started the podcast.
And so we wanted to finish it out with one of our best friends.
Oh, thanks.
I feel like people probably maybe feel like they know you because I've had people be like, wait, so which one is Poppy again? They'll be like listening in work and they'll be like, wait, okay, so which one's Poppy again? Like trying to remember because your name comes up so much.
And it's the number one question that I think we get if they don't know who you are is, who is Poppy? Tell me who Poppy is.
I'm Malia, and I'm in Colorado Springs right now. I just moved out here.
Your background kind of says it all. You're like just one of those people, you're just like a world traveler and you're just like very cultured. And that's kind of one of the, I think, things that stands out about you the most.
So my dad was in the military for 30 years. The day he got out, or really the year he got out, was the year that I joined the military. So all I've really known is being around the military in some sort of capacity. My mom is the ultimate military wife. She is a nurse, and every time we've moved, she's found a new nursing job. She is phenomenal at moving home. So she's actually out here with me right now, helping me move in Colorado Springs because I just got my household goods this week. And then I have a younger sister. So we grew up moving about every 2 to 4 years. We moved somewhere different. So I was born in Hawaii. My dad was stationed out there. I've been to Georgia and Kentucky. We were abroad a few times. I was in Korea when I was in elementary school, and then Germany in high school. And then when I went to college, my family was out in Belgium. So really fortunate to move all over the world, and then as we are abroad, to travel all over the world. I've got a fun little map behind me. I was really excited to set up in this house of like a world map, kind of just highlighting the different locations I've been able to travel to, because travel is something that's really important to me, and just how I was raised, of getting to explore new places and really learn about the people while we were there as well. And so that's something I got to do growing up and continue to do as well.
Malia lived in 8 different homes growing up in 4 countries, the US, Korea, Germany, and Belgium. She's traveled to 47 different countries across Asia, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and South America.
My parents will always have us just walk the entire town too. We'd always joke about not getting lunch because we'd have to walk all day long and just really explore the city. And so really just doing it by foot as much as possible to get the lay of the land at first. Love eating at like a hole-in-the-wall restaurant somewhere as well. Doing some kind of like outdoorsy fun thing.
Do you have a favorite place that you've been from that specific travel, like growing up? Do you have like a core memory?
That's a good question. I feel like I get asked a favorite place a lot, and I always have a hard time answering, but I feel like I was in all the places at good stages of my life. Like it was really cool to be in elementary school in Korea. I have blonde hair. My sister's a redhead. And so Koreans were really into that because we stood out quite a bit. And we actually got a model as kids, which was kind of fun.
I didn't know that.
No. Yeah.
I found that out when we went to Italy together. Wait, tell us about that. Tell us about modeling as a kid in Korea.
I had no
I
idea.
started my college fund real young, and it was fun because I got to skip school sometimes to go do these photo setup shoots. I was in a lot of like nothing crazy fancy. I was like in Little Kid How to Learn English books of like, look at this American girl. Here's how to say hello. And there's me.
I love that. You're literally perfect for that.
I am shooketh. I had no idea.
Should use that as a fun fact when people, when they're like two truths and a lie. Should be like, I was a child model in Korea.
I have some real cheesy photos of me, like with fake bubble gum, but it's really a balloon. It was kind of fun behind the scenes stuff. I remember one time I had a fake sister, and my sister went ballistic. She was so mad that they had me modeling, pretending to have like a different sister than me.
Wait, tell us about your relationship with your sister.
My younger sister, her name is Kirsten, and she goes by Kiki, and we are really close. She's only 3 years younger than me. I think just the nature of traveling so often and moving to new places and having new homes and new sets of friends all the time, your sister just kind of has to become your best friend. And I'm really lucky that she is who she is because she's just an incredible human being. She's in the Coast Guard, and she actually just got picked up for the Coast Guard's law school program, which is really competitive and huge. And she's super smart, so I'm excited for her.
You go, girl.
I know. She was actually just out here this week as well when I moved to help me resettle and just be around.
Growing up moving so much, what are some of the challenges that you think you went through just having to move around so much?
I know in general for military kids, just moving to new schools and having a whole new set of friends all the time is consistently a challenge. I was lucky enough, both the middle schools I went to and the high schools I went to, because I was overseas, they were all military schools. So all the kids around me also had military families. And in Germany too, the military bases did a really good job of hosting community events, just knowing so many people don't speak the language and being abroad is new and can sometimes be scary, of just little things like figuring out how to go to the grocery store or driving or anything like that. And so the communities that I were in were really intentional about welcoming and just integrating foreigners really into the places that they were, which I think is also something that stuck with me. And so even though it's challenging to just be somewhere new and you don't know the languages around you and everyone around you is new as well, I just had to live really intentionally. My family did as well in that kind of environment.
I mean, that makes so much sense for like Sisters of Service.
Sisters of Service is a nonprofit organization Malia co-founded to help Afghan refugees. After recording, Malia shared that every time they moved, her mom taught her and her sister to surround themselves with good people, to host them, to pull them into everything that they do, and build a community everywhere they go. And that's exactly what Malia did, bringing together the girl gang.
I by no means can relate to a refugee experience, but I can relate to the idea of starting over in a new place, around new people, and exploring as a way to get your grounding and really like just integrate into the community around you. And so I do understand that feeling. And because of that, I have been really passionate about refugee work here in the US.
I knew that you had lived in other countries, but hearing you say it like, oh yeah, they helped foreigners integrate, like you were a foreigner in another country. I don't think I like that ever really clicked for me before, because I'm imagining like, yeah, military bases, but you're still in another country. Mm-hmm. What is the difference between going to school in the United States versus going to a military school overseas? And what does that actually mean?
I was actually just talking to my mom this morning about like, sometimes it's hard to remember how different our childhood and just living abroad and on military bases was. But she would mention how every time people visited us, we would take them on post around 5 p.m. And like that is when the day is done for most soldiers. And so they play the reveille. And a lot of bases, all the cars have to stop and people get out and you face the flag. And so we would bring visitors on post and not say anything about it. We would just be like, driving around on base at 5 o'clock, stop the car, all get out, not explain any of it to them. And there's this one spot on base where they would shoot off a cannon every evening at 5 p.m. So we'd get them really close to it. They would just be like, what is going on? But just like
Honestly,
bizarre.
terrifying.
You were just like, it's our family's entertainment for the day.
Yeah, we're like, what do you mean you don't do this in your small town America? Or movie theaters, you would stand up and put your hand on your heart for the Star Spangled Banner before movies in Korea. Just that's how you did movie theater experiences, just little patriotic things that I never really realized added up. And then when I went to college and was finally around normal civilian people all the time, I was like, oh my gosh, I was brainwashed. I do love the military. I need to join again.
What led to you joining the military? How was that decision?
I went to college in Minnesota. Like I said, I grew up all over. I was born in Hawaii. I was in Germany while I was applying to college, and I hadn't been in the US for 4 years. And so really didn't know. College experience is like a complicated thing for anyone, let alone I didn't have a state that was my starting point to be like, oh, I'll start in Pennsylvania because I'm from there. So I applied to a bunch of different random schools and then ended up going to one in Minnesota where my dad had gone. It was a smaller school, St. John, St. Ben's University. And it was about the end of my first year. I was loving the college. I was in like a nursing degree program. And there was an Army recruiter that came out and gave a talk about joining the military. And my whole first year, like going to college, was like, oh, I'm not going to do the military. That was cool and all, but I'm going to be a hippie and like do something with the Peace Corps. And so this recruiter spoke, and I just really related to that lifestyle of just wanting to represent the United States and the ideals of freedom and service. And I wanted to travel. I was around all these Minnesotans who just wanted to stay in Minnesota, and that terrified me. I needed like to know I would be traveling. And so the next day I like walked up to the ROTC department and I did a PT test. I did like the fitness test you have to do. I did really well and I got a scholarship, and here I am.
We explained a little bit about what ROTC is in episode 4 with Paige, but for anyone who hasn't watched that one yet, ROTC is the Reserve Officer Training Corps. Kyra, Malia, and I all had Army ROTC scholarships. This program allows for students to attend college while simultaneously preparing them to become an Army officer. Do you think growing up the way that you did like cultivated those values that you thought were important, or where do you think those came from?
Absolutely. Because my sister did the same thing. She didn't know what she was going to do, and she ended up joining the Coast Guard. Like it feels like a community that you don't have that small town that you go back to or whatever the city or town is. Like my town is almost the military, like a military base environment rhythm.
What did your parents think about having their 2 daughters join?
I think at first they were shocked when I was like, you know what, I am going to do this. Because I lived at the eco house and I wanted to like, I don't know. I was such a freaking hippie.
And you love fun pattern pants.
I still am.
I mean, you still are.
You still do.
I'd have to constantly explain to all my eco like hippie friends, like, no, the military's good and they also want to help the world. Just constantly, my whole life is like translating the military to everybody around me. But I love it.
You're perfect for that because you do have like a different perception and like a different heart for service. And so you are the perfect person for being in the military and bringing those worlds together.
Thank you. When I was in high school and in college, my dad worked at NATO and I got to do a summer internship program there as well. My job was dumb. I was like HR. I was like scanning papers or something super not important. But the favorite part of my day every day was going to lunch because you'd walk through the hallways and there were international representatives from every single country and all kinds of different like diplomatic entities. And you just hear all these different languages in the hallway. And one time I got to sit in on a meeting that my dad was at, and he was the United States. Like when they were like, all right, Belgium, you can speak. And like USA, you can speak. And he got to speak on behalf of America. And I was like, that is incredible. I want a position like that where you get to represent what America means and stands for in a service type way. And so I also think some of those experiences of seeing my family serve in different capacities abroad just really sunk in, and I ended up doing it myself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of people can say that they've had those experiences.
I do think there were little micro things where growing up, I'm like, this is kind of quirky. Like, we would pack for a family trip, like something fun. We were going somewhere fun for the weekend, and my dad would make us stand in our rooms and be like, 3 pairs of socks, and we'd have to like go get our 3 pairs of socks. And then he would like list out a packing list, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is unhinged behavior. And then lo and behold, you join the military and you do these layouts, and it is the exact same experience. And so I'm like, oh.
And you're like, this makes sense now.
You're like, I've been doing this since I was 3 years old.
So just little armyisms like that where I'm like, huh, our family's a little odd. And then I realize, no, this is from the military.
That is hilarious to me. But I also think it's a great parenting technique.
But it also makes a lot of sense when you meet your dad.
They're wild. My parents are definitely characters. And I think too, like that whole service concept, like they continue. I'm always doing some kind of bizarre new charity thing or volunteer thing, and they're always supporting me. Like they are always a part of it. I think my family is really just in it. Like whatever it's going to be, everyone is in it, and they're all showing up. Like I just got back from a deployment and landed in Colorado. I have no house, and they're all here, and we're all driving around, filling up my house together. Like no chill. There is no chill in this family, but it's awesome.
I think that just goes to show your experiences growing up. You did move around so much. You did have to rely on each other because sometimes that's really all that you had. That shows now in how you guys show up for each other.
For sure.
Okay, so everyone has been wondering, at what point did Malia become a gal's gal, the ultimate gal's gal?
The whole CST experience. I think that's how I learned how to be a military gal's gal, was a program I did in the military. And then college, in my college experience, I did go to an all-girls school. So that definitely helps. It wasn't officially an all-girls school. Like there was an all-boys campus and an all-girls campus, and all the classes were integrated and everything was integrated. But there was like, you were a Benny, and that was just like the women's school. So they had a lot of really great women-focused activities and groups that I really loved. So I think I got a layer of being a girl's girl in college. Growing up and having a sister, she definitely helped me be a girl's girl of just like, you got to get ready to get, like, you don't get ready by yourself. You need your sister to braid your hair, and like this is not an alone thing. You need a sister or a girl around.
Plus, you're a big sister, so like being the big sister,
Yeah.
you know, you kind of have to be a gal's gal.
It kind of
It's
comes
like
with the job
built-in
description.
job, yeah.
Can you give us a description of like what being a girl's girl means to you?
In the simplest one, Kyra, that sticker that I found that I think embodies you so well. It's a quote about like, if you see that some other queen's crown is tilted, you just go up and fix it and you don't say anything. Like you actively are looking for ways to support the individuals around you, and you get extra hype when it's women and when you're seeing women thrive, because you know, like any female thriving means the community will later thrive. Like they are going to take care of the children and the people and the food and the daily activities, and just like, you're not only a girl's girl because you're like helping give someone lipstick, but you're literally building a community that is a better, beautiful place.
Not me about to cry from a speech, a power speech from Malia. I haven't had one of these in 6 months.
Malia,
Malia,
Malia, Malia.
Side note, our girl gang only does chants for girls because there was only one time we did a chant for a boy.
It didn't work.
He didn't turn out to be good. So now we have a rule, only chants for women. Sorry, guys.
Some guy will have to like really do something incredible, and it's probably like supporting women, and then maybe he'll get half of a chance.
Unless it's just in general, men. Which I think is sometimes fun.
They don't get a name. I like that we teach men to chant for men. I like that approach way better.
Yes.
We love that.
Like the Canada boys.
Yes,
The Canada
exactly.
boys. Guys, I also had an experience at my last bachelorette party that I was at, and it was a bachelor party, so a group of guys, and I was, taking the same concept of like, not only do you have to like hype up your guy friends, but like also if it's The Bachelor, like he's the number one guy there.
Oh yeah, it's got to be about him.
It's all about him. Who's the hottest guy here? Bachelor.
Him, the Bachelor.
Who's got the biggest here?
The Bachelor.
They could not grasp this concept.
What?
I like tested them a couple times and I'm like, okay, like I gave my little spiel, like, cause I was like, hey, we're here for my friend Steph. Who's the hottest here? Steph. Who's the funniest girl here? Steph. Like, it's not that hard. I tested them multiple times. They didn't get it.
It always makes me think of that one time we were in Southern Pines and there's that guy playing like an open mic kind of thing. And he had that boy gang with him. And they were incredible. I wanted to like stop and interview these men. I was like, who raised you? Like, who taught you to come together and just hype up your man here? Like,
it was this guy doing an open mic and he just had a group of like, I don't know, 5 to 8 guys that were just singing every song he was singing, hyping him up, cheering after every time he had finished. And
I love that.
We were cheering and like they would cheer with us and we're like, yeah. And like, it was magical.
Honestly, I think the truth is we love gals, but we also just love people who hype other people up. Anyone who's being a hype man, we love.
We love.
It's true.
We love.
Because they're just so awesome where it's like we're all seeing each other grow and be better. And like, it's not that hard. Just support each other.
You know, I saw a really awesome reel the other day that was like, part of the reason that guys are having such a hard time dating is because not that they're competing with other men, it's because they're competing with like women's relationships with like other women and like their friendships. They're like, their girlfriends treat them so well. They're always hyping them up. Like they're always like making them super confident and just like boosting them up. And you're like, you're not competing with other guys. You're one, competing with their own peace, and 2, competing with like the way that their girlfriends treat them.
I believe it. I feel like the most romantic dates I've ever been on have probably been with you two. Like,
Prescott would get so mad. Prescott would be like, yo, Malia always gets to do this romantic stuff with you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when you and I went to Italy without my husband, he was like, my dream's been to go to Italy with you. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going with Malia.
I'll be riding in the gondola with Malia. I'm sorry. She's feeding me cheese.
I'll be having a spaghetti dinner with Malia. It is so true, though. That's why every time I had been at weddings, when someone would be like, oh, I'm marrying my best friend, prior to meeting my husband, I seriously was like, they're not your best friend. There's no way. Because if you have really good girlfriends, these men truly are competing. Because you have a limited amount of time. You're not going to hang out with people who don't make you feel good, who don't support you, who
aren't as fun,
not as stylish, for
Definitely
dang
not.
sure.
I think that's why I had such a hard time dating in Southern Pines. I mean, there's lots of reasons it's hard to date in Southern Pines, but a large one was because I'm like, why am I going to go on a date with this rando when I can just go hang out with my best girlfriends and we're going to like, I know I will have fun with them. So I'm gonna choose.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think we've ever crashed any of your dates, Malia, but you and I have crashed Kathleen's dates.
Well, I turned a date into 2 separate dates.
That was incredible.
Due to us crashing.
Thanks to you two.
Do you want to tell the story
you guys
very
are my
briefly?
girls.
Do you want to tell the story really briefly, Malia?
I think we need to. I don't even remember. Oh, I remember the first guy that you were going on a date with. I was like, immediately no. I'm not going to tell Kathleen what to do, but immediately no. He had that video of himself on Instagram, like driving up on his bicycle and like whipping his helmet off, and immediate ick. But I was like, whatever. Kathleen likes him. We'll try it out.
I was hanging out with you. You showed me that video and I was like, so what? Did he set up his tripod, like speed around the corner and then pretend to like do his bike move and then run and go get his phone?
Must have. What did he say to you that night?
Okay, so you go on this date with him. It was at a brewery. And then you ended up telling us where the brewery was. We're like, oh, cool. We can also go there. So we did, and we crashed it. Because didn't he have his friends there? I don't know. We had to crash the date. And I was pretty aggressive about interviewing him and just being like, wow, have you learned Kathleen is the most incredible woman you'll ever meet in your life yet? Like on hour 1 of your date. And he turns and looks at me and he's like, well, I think I've met my match. I'm immediately triggered. Kathleen is not your match. Kathleen is so much cooler than you. Like, I know that for a fact.
We are her best girlfriends. Like, you need to be like, she literally can walk on water. She is the most beautiful woman on earth to us. Any other comment is wrong.
Yeah.
Totally wrong.
You should only be asking me, like, how do I give Kathleen the most amazing date that I possibly can so that she'll love me? Like, that's the only appropriate question right now.
Yeah.
Once he said that to you, you and I were both like, let's find her a different date right now here at the bar.
And we found that other guy. We'll call him Prescott too.
Yeah. And then we found Prescott number 2. We were running interference on Prescott number 1 while you were starting to talk to Prescott number 2. And we told Prescott number 2, buddy, your second date for tonight, because first one already fricked up so bad we had to cancel the date mid-date, and Prescott number 1 was still hanging around.
He was terrified.
Number 2 understood the assignment, though. He was like, oh, really? I'm so honored. Like, what should I do? I'm like, oh, he's in. We found a good one.
And that's how you know you have some good girlfriends.
That was for the record books.
Speaking of dating, I do want to get into how we kind of met each other.
So we had already applied to the cultural support team program, and we were about to go to selection that week. The cultural support team was an all-female program where women were competing to work alongside special operations as a female enabler. And so you didn't know a whole lot about it when you were applying. You just knew that it was specialized, it was very physically demanding, and you had to go to this selection. And so this was still me early in my girls gal era, I would say, because I remember meeting you on the beach and just being like, wow, she is an athlete. She's going to outcompete me. I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I want to be her friend, but also I really want that position.
Malia and Kathleen both separately applied for the Cultural Support Team program. The program was designed to assess, select, and train highly capable women to deploy with special operations teams. It was stood up in 2011 out of necessity to bridge cultural gaps and gather intelligence men could not get in Afghanistan. Before the Army formally allowed women to serve in combat roles in 2016, CSTs were deploying to the front lines alongside their male counterparts and playing a crucial role in the war in Afghanistan. These women paved the way for future generations of women to formally serve in combat roles and demonstrated not only that women can do these jobs, but they're good at them and they are critical to mission success. Malia and Kathleen are 2 of the brave women who stepped up to meet this challenge.
We were in different units, never came across each other than that one time. And then we were at selection together. But one thing that really sticks out to me when I'm like, we're going to be friends, was when we went speed dating in Raleigh.
Oh, that was a time. That was incredible. I remember, so a big part of our training was that we needed to be able to talk to people and quickly get answers on whatever it is the focus area was. And one of the girls in our group was not good at it. And we're like, that's fine. Let's come up with a fun way to get better. Like, where's the spot that you talk to people and you need them to like you and you need them to answer the questions? Speed dating.
That is such a genius idea.
This was extra training that we did for ourselves. We're like, how do we get better at our job? We will go to speed dating.
So we came up with okay, in, I don't know, we have 3 or 4 minutes or something. There's going to be 3 questions and you need them all answered. I remember one was what is your high school mascot?
Mother's maiden name.
Probably something about a car.
Your first car that you drove.
Those are honestly hard questions to get out of a speed dating interaction.
You can't ask it straight up. You can't be like, hey, what was this car? You had to ask around it, because part of the idea for our job questioning, you can't let them know what information you want.
Okay, gotcha.
So you had to be more tactful about it.
Okay, so how did speed dating go?
What was wild and didn't play to one of our questions is that a majority of the men were Indian, had grown up in India. So they didn't have a high school. So we would just keep striking out left and right on the mascot scenario. And then that was way too specific, because 3 women continuously asked men throughout the night about their high school mascot.
So then they're like, wow, these women really care about that.
So did we get a second date? No.
No.
I do want to point something out. Both of you guys were like, wow, we really had a tough time dating in North Carolina because you're doing schemes like this. Because you're going to speed dating and doing stuff like this. You're like, we're not going for love. We're going for training.
I remember we went out after that. One of the girls that we went with, she told us later that she was really worried to go out with us because she thought we like weren't going to be any fun. After the weekend, she's like, we went to like an arcade bar. We went to like, and just like limed around and just did all of these fun things. And I think it just kind of went to show that like we're so dimensional and multifaceted and just fun. We just had like a great weekend of just like a bunch of random stupid stuff.
There's so much yes and where it's like, should we do this? Yes, we should do this and let's do this. And just hype girling our activities.
Yeah, so that was kind of probably our OG.
When you guys became friends.
Yeah, probably.
It was just such a competitive era of, and the military kind of does this, where there's only so many women. And so you feel like you have to be the best of this minority group, or you hold everyone else in that group to the highest of standards. And so instead of being like, how do we empower each other and lift each other up, you're like, wow, they're not good enough. They're making women look bad. What do I do about this? It's going to make me look bad. And so it's a really difficult environment to be a girl's girl for a while until you learn that you must, because it's the only way.
Yeah, to kind of like survive almost. And I think we had a good group in the sense that like it was really competitive and we were like these very, very high performing women who have not worked with a lot of women in our careers, especially probably the women at our like level, equally embraced it and became like really, really close. Cause we were together for 6 months training every single day together.
And there was just 5 of us, 6 with Brittany. So it was a small group. And so you had to become best friends, obviously. And it was this competitive environment. But then you also knew after those 6 months, we then deployed forward to Afghanistan and were split up across different special operations teams. And so you went from only working with women in this super tight-knit group to then being probably 1 or 2 of the only women in a large group of a task force that all knows each other. And so you've got this really core element. And then it was awesome because then we all leaned on each other when we were all spread out literally across the country. And you still had this girl gang to call and be like, wow, I had a really terrifying mission, or this leader in this organization is a and doesn't know how to talk to me. How do I deal with this situation? And you just had a group of women that understood the exact scenario that you were living.
I don't think you can go without saying like coming back from a deployment like that and having someone in the same house that like went through similar things was like necessary, right? Like I needed that. I needed to have that person. Yeah. And then we lived in Hawaii together and we did that whole thing. And then we moved to North Carolina.
I was thinking something the other day that fits right into this. I think a lot of women in the military, maybe women in other career fields too, they have found themselves, especially if they're good at their job. Every single one of our friends can think of times when they were the first, the only, the best female in whatever career field they're in. In 2025, how can I in my career think back to myself where I was like, I was truly the first, the only, or the best in many jobs that I've been in. And I'm like, I don't want to be the first, the only, and the best. I want to be one of many that is qualified and good at my job. And I was like, that should be the conversation. Like, how can I be one of many instead of I'm the first, the only, and the best woman? Your goal should be, I want to be one of many. I want to put that like on t-shirts. I want to put it on stickers. I want to put it on everything because we need women. We should be one of many that are in these fields.
And I think it is difficult to have that mindset when you're only experiencing that scenario being the first, the only, the best, or whatever. Like what really helped in our CST journey is that we started with a group of 6. Like we started with a cohort knowing I'm not alone in this. Like I'm the only in my group right now, but I know there's other women facing this exact same experience. that I want to call and lean on and learn from and teach and just like amplify what's going on right now.
Yeah, so I think our OIC did a really good job of bringing us together in that we were super competitive, especially in the physical realm, where we would be doing like runs and stuff like that. And she's like, we will stay together for this. Like, we're going to do team events. We're going to do runs together. We're going to do rucks together. We're going to hang out together. And she was very good about like bringing us all together as one team and not pitting us against each other.
We just got so much bad advice throughout that journey of like how to dress and how to not smell too much like flowers because you'll be too attractive, and like just very bizarre how to be a woman in a sea of men advice. And we'd always go back to Brittany and be like, okay, what actually matters? Like, and she would just fall back on like basic leadership tenets of how to be a good human, how to do your job, and like be fit, be strong, be competent. And that's all it takes. And she was so grounding in that way.
Can you tell us a little bit about your CST experience?
With the program, you go through, like Kathleen was saying, a 6-month selection, and then you deploy forward. So first, I deployed alongside a Marine Special Operations group, and our job was during night raids, we would search and question and safeguard women and kids. We would get in a helicopter late at night. We would go to whatever the objective area is. The task force you were with would surround the objective. You would go in and there would be a group of women. And our job as CSTs was to talk to those women. And we would take the information we learned and work alongside our male counterparts to identify the threats in the area, to help understand if the target that you're going after was on site. And really just Afghanistan has massive families. So just so many women and children. And our job was to keep them safe and kind of out of the way and under control during these night missions.
I took over your position with that Marine team. And so we actually got to do 2 missions together. And I was actually telling the story, I think at work today, but those 2 missions that we did, we ended up taking contact. And all of the guys were like, oh, if you have women on target, like that's when stuff goes down. So like we should always bring out more women because then we get shot at or whatever.
It was like one of the best weeks on deployment because we both got to hang out together and do our job, which was crazy and so much fun. And like, I loved bringing you in. It was such a group. They just like a group of degenerates, but good humans. And I loved that team. They were so fun to work alongside. And like at one point, say the experience was like living in a frat house. I was literally living in a closet. It would come out into the big shared living space. And I remember the team, it was their first time getting a CST, and that's all they knew. It was a CST. Like they didn't know what the acronym meant. They didn't know what the thing was. They were just pumped because they were in this higher tiered organization and they'd get an enabler. And lo and behold, I show up and they're like, oh, it's a female? Like, that's what we get? We're just so confused. They're like, what do we do with you? And I literally met the team that we were with. It was the second team I worked with. And I was in Kandahar and had to go over to meet them in Helmand. But I met them on the bird for the mission. And it was their first mission ever. I met them in the middle of the night, all kitted up during this mission. It was just such a bizarre time.
That's wild.
They packed way more ammo than they needed and not enough water. And so I remember I was like giving them some of my water. I'd always have Jolly Ranchers for kids. I was like giving them the Jolly Ranchers. I'm like, my job is not to be your mom. I want to make that clear. This is not the standard. You just take care of yourselves. But they were awesome.
But I do want to make it very clear that you're coming to me for advice on these missions. So
you're like, I'm helping you out. Just remember this tomorrow.
The first half of my experience was getting to be on target, get to do those night raids. And then the second half, so Kathleen and I had a really fun overlap time period. And then the second half, I got to train up Afghan women to do the same job. And so it took a long time for the U.S. military to realize, hey, when you are engaging with a population, 50% of them is women. And therefore, you probably need women in these task forces when you're doing any type of operation. And that was really the genesis of the Cultural Support Team program. So then about 10 years into the CST program, we learned, wow, women are great, but local women that speak the same language, they know the culture, they know the customs, they're a lot better. So then the American CSTs started training up an equivalent female task force of Afghan women. And the second half of my deployment, I got to be a part of that training program. And I absolutely loved it. It was so cool. I feel like back in 2019, Afghan women were like these unicorns that everyone talked about, but no one actually got to meet or know because they wore burqas and they stayed in the home and they have no rights. And like, no one really understood Afghan women. And so then you get to meet these women who are already in the military. And the first time I met them was they were doing like a best tactical platoon member challenge. And so I was there to be the ruck march pace girl. So we wore heavy backpacks and I was probably in my peak physical fitness state. So I'm like, oh, I got this. Like, this is going to be a cakewalk. It's Afghan women. They're probably going to be walking. And I was immediately humbled. Like, Maji was out the gate, one of the Afghan women, just crushing this ruck, running the entire way. And I had to keep up with her. And she was just chatting along about her life. And it was so cool. Like, it was incredible to get to work alongside these women and teach them and be alongside them as they're learning to shoot and do land nav and fast rope out of helicopters and just like incredible military positions and jobs and skill sets. And they're right there alongside you.
We were training them to go on target with other Afghan forces and American forces. So like you were doing that mission to train them up to like send them out to different posts to go on those night raids. So they're doing the same mission that the CSTs were doing and like the special operations guys were doing. Like some real badass, like some really cool stuff.
How did they find the Afghan women?
All the Afghan women we worked with had already been in the Afghan military. And so across the time the U.S. was in Afghanistan, there were over 5,000 women that served in the military and in their national police force, which is something I think a lot of people don't know. Our team would then recruit from women who were already serving. But even then, the women would have to get their parents to sign off, particularly their father would have to sign a form saying, yes, I'm willing to let my daughter go serve in this unit. I know that she'll deploy to outpost, and maybe we would always deploy the Afghan women in a group of two. So it should be and only 2 women around a bunch of men. And I approve of this for her. And so once they have that signature, they then go through some psychological testing, and we would run like a mini selection as well to train them up on different questioning and searching techniques, some basic fitness. But like in our fitness test, this was sometimes the first time a woman had ever learned how to physically move her body into a push-up position. And so knowing that we were more just training or assessing for fitness capacity, but it's pretty easy to train someone up to be to the fitness level that they need to be at. And we were fully confident in doing that once we selected these women. A lot of the women also were of the Hazara ethnicity, which is typically a more progressive ethnicity of Afghans that is highly persecuted by the Taliban because of it, but also trended to have more of those type of women in the military. I was kind of mentioning earlier, we would get weird, bizarre advice on how to not stand out as a female when you're working with all these dudes. And the Afghan women did not care. They would put on their best red lipstick and get their hair all done just to the nines. They'd always joke about like, why are all the American girls so plain and boring? like it was progressive enough to just be a woman in the military. They weren't trying to blend in at that point. They knew they wouldn't. And so I learned a lot about embracing femininity and just being good at your job, because it shouldn't matter if you want to dress like a girl and act like a girl, if that also means you're really good at your job. And so I learned so much more about like how to fit in and be yourself as a female from these Afghan women than I have in my whole career.
I think the pictures of some of the Afghan women wearing like red lipstick and like awesome sunglasses while they're like doing training. I've seen some pictures of them. Those pictures are iconic to me.
They love the work hard, play hard mentality. And for them, the play hard part of it was that we were going to have a henna dance party and kick all the men out and dance around in the living room and eat a bunch of food on the floor. And It was awesome. It was such a unique experience to get to be in that environment and train some of my absolute heroes.
As we talk about the work Malia did in Afghanistan and the relationships she built with the Afghan women, it's impossible to ignore the U.S. withdrawal and the Taliban takeover in 2021. On August 15, 2021, the Taliban entered Kabul largely unopposed as Afghan president fled the country. The Afghan government collapsed, ending 2 decades of U.S.-backed rule. The Taliban declared an Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. Many Americans thought this was the end of the work the United States had done in Afghanistan. But Malia wasn't willing to give up. It takes a lot more than the Taliban to take over to stop someone like Malia.
The deployment experience that Kathleen and I got to have of being CSTs was just so unique and rare. And because of that, we became really close friends and remained close friends. And the same can be said with our Afghan counterparts. Like, even after I redeployed or other women redeployed, we maintained contact with these Afghan women. As we all know, Kabul fell and was overran by the Taliban. And throughout that time and leading up to it, we remained in contact with the Afghan ladies, and they reached out just knowing, hey, sisters, we're in danger. What can be done? What can we do about it? Because the Afghan women were not employed by the U.S. military, there's very limited legal options for them being able to safely relocate. As Afghanistan was falling, many of our Afghan sisters were reaching out and trying to make plans of how can they safely evacuate the country, knowing as women, as a very particular persecuted ethnicity, as military members that served, they knew they were going to be number one on the Taliban's hit list and that they needed to flee the country. So they're reaching out to try to find solutions to come to America or at least leave Afghanistan, as the Taliban was going to be in charge. Luckily, because the CST program had been around for 10 or so years, we knew individuals at every level across the evacuation scene, from soldiers literally at the gates of Kabul who are able to pull some of these Afghan women over the gates, to generals that could make manifest and get the women that we say, hey, these women we know are vetted, they've served with the U.S. Special Operations, get them on a plane. They could approve that, to individuals in the State Department. Our network was so deep and wide that we were able to ensure all of the Afghan women that served in the Special Operations Program were evacuated to the United States. Across that time, it was a chaotic week particularly for the Afghan women themselves fleeing the country, but also for this robust support team. Myself and a really good friend came together and just realized, like, this is chaos right now, but it's not going to end anytime soon. These women are about to uproot their entire lives, many of whom had small, young babies and family members as well. They don't even know where they're going next. It's going to be chaos. And then once they get to this new location, they need to resettle and start over. And this is a sprint right now, but this whole experience is a marathon. And we need to set up a robust program around this. And so that's how Sisters of Service was born. And myself and an incredible group of women came together and developed this mentorship program so we could match typically a U.S. female veteran to each Afghan woman. And there were 44 of them and their families that came to the United States, so that across their resettlement journey, they had a friend that they knew they could reach out to, from something as simple as, how do I put a frozen pizza in the oven? Because I've never used an oven. And also, what is Papa John's? And something as complex to, like, how do I set up life insurance? Or how do I enroll my kids in school? Or how do I apply for a job? Honestly, like, as military veterans, we were some of the least prepared people to talk about how to set up jobs and do life insurance, because we just get it. But what we're really good at is Googling and finding solutions. And so it's been an incredible journey.
Malia and the mentors of Sisters of Service have done a lot more than just Googling questions on the internet. Malia assisted in the resettlement of the women across the United States, paired Afghan women with mentors, and then started working on getting them citizenship, which meant she found lawyers and donors. She planned events, contacted journalists to share their stories, all while helping these women navigate figuring out being in a new country after fleeing Afghanistan.
She also spent tons of her free time flying around the U.S., visiting them, going to Washington, D.C. to advocate for them, and holding monthly virtual meetings via Zoom. This is so much more than just Googling. It's time, it's effort, and it's love that she is pouring into helping these women.
Because at its base, it's just should be really good mentorship. So how do you meet someone where they're at when at sometimes their life is in total chaos and they're just trying to start over and they're trying to get through the days to, okay, now they're a little more settled. They want a 5-year plan. How do we build out this plan with them? And so the whole purpose of Sisters of Service is just, we knew these Afghan women were beside our side as we were in combat, in war, asking them to stand alongside the United States and go into highly dangerous missions. So now we need to stand beside them as they're navigating something new in a foreign country. And it's much more a simple problem set. We can just be there and support them and answer the phone when they're needing to figure out their next steps and how to resettle. And so luckily now that we're about at year 3, that self-sufficiency piece has been met for the vast majority of these women. And we're on to a pretty exciting stage of how do we get into the career fields that we want to be in? And for many women, actually, it is joining the U.S. military, which is just incredible. But unfortunately, it is incredibly difficult to be a refugee in America, especially if you don't know the English language. And so at the beginning of this journey, we thought, this is too easy. They already served in the military. They can join immediately. Like, what a cool career field. And here we are at year 3, and it's still nowhere near the point where they can join the U.S. service because of just the insaneness that is the U.S. legal system for asylum. Many of the women are still pending green cards that are needed to be able to enlist, as well as how complex it is to just learn English. And not just basic English, but like how to do jobs at the skill set and caliber that they would like to be involved in. And so Sisters of Service now is just seeing like how can we help these women find higher caliber jobs and many of which are in the service capacity. So nursing positions, some women are interested in being police officers, many want to be in the military. We're looking to see how can we match these women with mentors in these fields that can help them get into these positions. And one cool highlight I want to shout out to Kyra is that Sisters of Service is drafting, we're really like 99% finished with a workbook. We were like, let's make a workbook on how to join the military. It's got to be easy. We know how to be in the military. Ruthie and myself were like, we'll just make something simple and fun. We pulled Kyra into this, and Kyra is a mastermind digital genius. And so our simple workbook plan turned into this absolutely gorgeous, elaborate workbook with beautiful doodles all over. And like, it's awesome. I'm so excited about this book. And it's called She Serves.
The workbook will be coming out soon. If you're interested in learning more about Sisters of Service or the She Serves workbook, check them out at sistersofservice.org. We'll put a link to Malia's website in our show notes and in our Instagram post about today's episode.
There's just something about like female mentorship that I do think hits differently. And that's something I've tried to do my whole life. I think I learned it primarily doing the CST program and being around such high caliber women that I continue to reach back to and have them as sounding boards. There's just something a little less patronizing, a little more inclusive, a little more reflective when you're talking to a female mentor. And I was just talking to my sister about this as she is figuring out her next huge stage of law school. There's something about having that feminine mentorship where the first thing isn't you should do this and this is what I did and here's how to be the best, but it's, hey, what do you want to do? What are you excited about? Like just kind of a different style of listening and a different style of excitement and hype girling. And you might not walk away from it with like, okay, here's my next 3 steps, but you do walk away just hyped about whatever the next steps are going to be, and like knowing that you have a support system and a sounding board. And like that's what I've really learned, I think, the most from our friend group and from Sisters of Service, is just ensuring that you're surrounding yourself with incredible women that you look up to, because they want you to be better, you want them to be better, constantly finding like other leaders in this field. And like if you can't think of your 5 hype girls right now, and it doesn't need to be your peers, it could be Alona Mar, that badass rugby girl player. Like watching her Instagram hypes me up.
We love her.
We love her.
I've never spoken to her, but like you need to have at least 5 incredible female figures in your life. And if you don't, go get to a drawing board and figure them out and start incorporating that, because I think that's what I've learned so much from all of this.
And Malia, everyone listening, Malia would probably be one of the best people to add first to your list. So
Absolutely.
if you're not adding her, you should be.
I'll at least connect you to a hype girl in your field.
Professional hype girl connections.
Yeah.
That could be your next thing.
Yeah, it's because you can reach out to female leaders and they'll respond to you. You know, like it has been insane for Sisters of Service. We bring on speakers all the time. Now there's an organization called All True, which is for women, SOF veterans, and really all leaders across the board. But working in these different fields, you find someone that you want to hear from or learn from, and you hit them up and they'll respond to you. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to a hype girl that you think is too high of a caliber, because she'll probably want you to thrive too.
I think it's not lost on us. Like we go through difficult times or we had a hard time through something. Like we don't want people to go through that same difficulty. Like we want people to have it easier than we had it. Like we want to actually like bestow those lessons that we learned.
We got to know what's next for Malia. What are you excited about in Colorado? You've been there a few days.
Not weeks, days.
Oh, a week?
Yes, very new. That's a good question. So I just got back from a 5-month deployment, and I told myself I was just going to focus on that phase of my life. And Colorado's a new book, which I'm really excited for. And so I don't know what's next for Malia Carson, but
we are visiting you soon.
Okay, what's next is that I need to set up my guest room so that you all have a place to stay. No, I'm so excited to be here. I love living in the mountains. It makes me really sad to not be living by you all. First off, thank you so much. You can tell this is my actual girl gang family, because I needed them to move my household goods, because I think I left I needed to leave the day before so I could go to Vegas for my dad's 60th.
Oh, yeah.
You're in Vegas.
Friends will just pack up all of my household goods for me. I'll power of attorney to them. It's no big deal. So thank you for that.
But we will throw in some notes.
Lots of notes.
Some balloons.
Loved unpacking these notes.
One of my pastimes is buying Malia just absurdly large balloons and then making them take these balloons to and fro her party. So I've done this like multiple times. I've just bought her like a big ass balloon, and then I think I made you take it away.
And I would have to shove this balloon in my passenger seat, and it didn't fit. And then I'd be like pulling this body-sized balloon out of my tiny little car and bringing it down the street to a party.
Yo, I lived for this. So I got her a big balloon. And then she had left a couple days or weeks before the movers came. So me and Kyra were here when the movers came. You know, we were kind of like talking with them a little bit. Our stuff was a little bit intertwined. So I had to kind of give him direction of like what to take and what not to take. And he brings the balloon up to me and he's like, this, haha. And I was like, yes. And he's like, wait, what? And I was like, you will send that balloon. And he was like, are you serious?
And he's saying this, we're both sitting there and I was immediately on board. I was like, yes. And we're both just like deadpan looking at this moving man.
And he's like,
you're taking that balloon.
I'm like, pack it up, put it in the truck, send that to her.
And he's like smiling at first and like kind of laughing. And we're like, we're not laughing.
We're not.
It's a critical item that you
serious.
need to take.
And he's like, God dang it.
So he has to pack it up. And we watched him pack it up and we're both like trying not to let him hear us laughing.
Well, you told me about this balloon scenario and I'm like, that's hilarious. I mostly believe you did that because I could see you doing that, but we'll see what actually comes when it arrives. And so the second set of movers that are unpacking things walk up to me and they have this like round, large, wrapped up package that says the love balloon. No.
which Kyra and I did not write.
We didn't write that. That was the movers.
That. The movers wrote that.
And they hand it to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need my mom to open this. She needs to know. So I gave it to my mom, who's helping me unpack everything. And she unwraps it and sees it's a balloon. And she's like, what? So now I'll keep it forever.
This is actually our last episode of the season. Our best friend Maya is getting married, so we get to travel to Colorado, hang out with Malia, and just take some time to prep for season 2. So this is actually going to be our last episode of season 1.
So honored to have made season 1 and to be woven through Shelaborate and other spots as a poppy. I wore my poppy shirt today.
We wanted to finish out season 1 with you because then we've done an interview with the whole girl gang.
My mom wants to come toast to the season finale.
Oh, you want to do a toast?
Let's get our ginger beers.
Our
season finale.
Yeah, our season finale of Shelaborate. So here's to episode 11.
And here's to Poppy, aka Malia.
Cheers.
The gang, girl gang.
To the girl gang, always.
To the girls.
It's implied. We want to take a minute to thank all of our listeners for sticking around with us for our first season. We have been committed to learning as much as we can and improving every single week.
We'll be back in September. During this break, we're working on creating more content for season 2, with more episodes of Unhinged, more guests, and of course, more Shelaboration.
See you next season.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Shelaborate. We can't wait to bring you more episodes.
Don't forget to follow, like, and drop us a review. Our episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Patreon.
If you liked the show, post it on your social media and pass it along. Women supporting women is the whole point.
We'll be back next week with more opinions, more stories, and more Shelaboration.
Until then, I'm Kath.
And I'm Kyra. This podcast is for the girls.